Oh, yes, I did. As a matter of fact, my mother's father and mother lived with us, and that was a very important part of my growing up, because when I heard you read that this was to record records of Jewish language and culture, I had no real formal Yiddish education, but the neighborhood that I grew up in was where my Yiddishkeit was rooted. I said, if there is in my voice anything of Yiddishkeit at all, it is probably due to a mixture of isolated images and events from the first 20 years of my life. And the first thing that comes to mind is the neighborhood in which I grew up in Boston in the 30s and 40s. Blue Hill Avenue, a long avenue that ran through it, had the strongest voice of all. It was a voice that included the sound of streetcars, which ran along the avenue, that's what we always called it, as well as the voices of the people who lived in a maze of streets that ran off to the side. And the voices were always excited, but it wasn't always clear what they were excited about. But that was probably a very important thing for me. And then, in addition to sounds, it was a rich neighborhood olfactorily. The stores, little storefronts, all specialized in one kind of food. So you had a cheese store, and you had a chicken store, and you had a fish store, and the smells were wonderful, and the delicatessen. Yes, I grew up not very far from the famous G&G Delicatessen, which was the political gathering place for Ward 14. So that too was colorful. And my memory of the smells of the avenue is mostly the pickle smells, wonderful pickle smells, because open barrels would stand outside. And then there were colors. It was very, very colorful. The food was colorful. You know, the smoked whitefish was gold, and the lox was orange, and everything sort of came in. It was a very stimulating sensory experience. And so I said the colors and the sounds and the smells of the avenue came to rest in my memory, in my nose, behind my closed eyes. And I can summon it up at any old time, that part of it. And the bakeries were very important, very important. And of course, they smelled marvelous. And you not only had separate stores for separate kinds of food, but you went to one store for bagels, but you went to another store for rye bread because the crust was better there. And it was really, and people were very, very interested in food. And as I think about it now, the food was really very exotic. And so this was important, that I was thinking about the colors and how the light would change at the end of Shabbos when everything got lit up again and the stores opened up. And light was an important part, except at Christmas. There were never any lights at Christmas for miles and miles around, totally dark. In order to see the Christmas lights, this was another part I wanted to tell you about my father. My father packed us into his car. We always had an old car of one sort or another. And he took us to visit little towns like Amherst, where we went to Needham. We went, I forget the names of some of the others. Oh, Dedham. Dedham was very important. And he took us in the car because he wanted us to see how pretty they had made it for us, which was a very interesting way to present Christmas to a little Jewish girl. And my father's presence really augments the Yiddishkeit that surrounded me. It's interesting because he never made his Yiddishness a focus of who he was. And at Christmas, we went to visit his German friends, the Von Bergens, to see how they celebrated Christmas. We went to the Latouris, who were a wild Italian crew, and we saw the color of Italian Christmases. And then for Passover, we took matzah and wine to them, and at Rosh Hashanah, we took honey cake. So my father managed to live the meaning of the word ecumenical, and it wasn't part of his vocabulary.